Javon Kinlaw on the verge of a breakout season. He had a terrific practice yesterday. He had a sack in team drills, which I can't remember the last time he did that. He's a really good athlete. He hasn't done one-on-ones yet, so I don't know. Maybe when he gets in there, is going to dominate. I don't know really what to expect from him in year 2. What do you think? What are you expecting?
Yeah, so I've been out on a limb when people have asked me this question. I think Kinlaw has become a common answer, but I was answering this maybe in April before the draft itself that I thought he would be the breakout player. Part of it is I am biased. I was a huge Javon Kinlaw fan before the draft. I thought he was a hell of a player, and I still believe that. I thought he had a good rookie season. There were some things that I felt like people expected from him that I didn't personally expect from him. I think people expected him to come in and be a 6'7" sack guy. He's not a sack guy. That's not who Javon Kinlaw is. I think he had 7 sacks his final year at South Carolina. Grant has commented about his pass rushing ad nauseum and compared it to DeForest Buckner, who is a sack guy, who is capable of getting 10 to 12 sacks. I think Javon Kinlaw having a breakout season next year will be more dependent on his impact. And I think that impact will be for those who sit and watch the game rather than you won't be able to track his impact in the box score. I think Javon Kinlaw could have 4 sacks next year and have a hell of a season. Heck, I don't expect him to have anything more than 6 sacks. I expect him to be 4 to 6 sacks, but I still think he could have a really, really good season having 4 to 6 sacks because the first thing is he has to be a dominant presence in the run game, and it doesn't have to be with tackles for a loss. It has to be with penetration, him using his size, him shedding blocks, him taking on double teams, him being strong at the point of attack. All things he did fairly well in the run game as a rookie, and I expect that to improve. And then as a pass rusher, for him, it's not as much as him finishing plays with sacks or him getting beating guys clean the way DeForest Buckner does with his spin move or shooting a gap, as much as him just being able to move the pocket and ruin the pocket for the quarterback and allow other players to eat and get around him. And I think if he's able to do those things and show his power and explosion as an athlete, 100%, I think Javon Kinlaw can have a breakout season. It's just you have to temper your expectations of what a breakout season is. I see people coming out here and saying Javon Kinlaw is going to have 9 sacks. That's not the kind of player Javon Kinlaw is. Nick Bosa isn't going to make Javon Kinlaw have 9 sacks, but I think Javon Kinlaw can have a really, really good season with 4 sacks.
Yeah, I think what's interesting about Kinlaw is it's so obvious he's nothing like Buckner.
No, but he's a totally different style player.
Yeah, like I actually think of him more like a nose tackle. And you think like, well, nose tackles aren't impact players. Well, Vita Vea is a nose tackle and he's an impact player, and he only gives you like 3 sacks a year, but he's extremely disruptive. Everyone knows it. Mm-hmm. He's one of their best players. And Kinlaw, a couple of like last week said he really emulates himself after a young Ndamukong Suh. Same kind of player, not super refined, just overwhelming. And all I was saying was I didn't see that from Kinlaw last year, but he was a rookie. Rookies often aren't overwhelming. Maybe this guy will end up being the Niners version of Vita Vea, in which case, hey, good pick. Because Vita Vea was like a pick right around the same spot, no? He was the 12th pick.
He was the 12th pick when people thought they should have taken Derwin James. And Ndamukong Suh was
I don't think Kinlaw's quite as good as Vita Vea. I think
no.
Because everyone's like, Kinlaw's so big, he moves so well. Vita Vea is bigger. All I'm saying.
And moves just as well.
Yeah, it moves just
as well. I think a lesser Suh is the comp. And to be fair, Suh had 10 sacks as a rookie and has basically lived between about 4.5 to 8 sacks for the rest of his career. And I think there's people that would make the case that Ndamukong Suh has put a borderline Hall of Fame career together. He's been fairly good at every stop he's been. He's always been physically dominant against the run. He makes impact plays in the pass game. If you watch him, there's a lot of plays that Ndamukong Suh makes in terms of screwing up plays that he might not be credited with anything in the box score. Chris Sims calls it the F the play up. Javon Kinlaw, if he gets a lot of F the play up type plays next year, to me, that's a breakout season.
Sean says Kinlaw seems to be one-dimensional. Veteran guards can easily shut him down with sheer technique. That's what I saw last year. Like that's Tomlinson is just a veteran guard, not a great one, not a bad one, a solid guy who knows his craft, and he just took Kinlaw to school. So I'm not saying he's still that guy. I want to see it.
So
Yeah.
that's what I expect to really change. I just
Yeah.
expect him to be too physically overwhelming for guys who try to technically. Because at the end of the day, this guy is 6'5", 230 or 330, and he wears
Yeah.
330 like it's not like Mike McGlinchey. He has to drink 5 shakes to be 330. He gets out of bed and he's just a mammoth.
Let me tell you something what happened. All right. So yesterday I'm standing right next to the defensive players during the 11 on 11s, and Javon Kinlaw whoops someone hard and comes flying in, doesn't tag the quarterback, but it's a sack, and everyone sees it. All the defensive linemen are basically giving him the the woo, and he comes back, and everyone comes up like, man, how you that big moving that fast? How are you that big moving? Everyone respects him. He just needs to,
And the stuff
yeah.
he did in the run game last year, the strength he showed at the point
Oh
of
yeah.
attack and stuff, he did have a. I wouldn't say he had a good rookie season because I think the expectations for him to have a good rookie season were maybe a little bit through the roof because of who he was replacing and whose number he was wearing. But I thought he had a promising rookie season.
He showed enough to make you think that there's definitely something there. For sure.
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Yeah. And I'm
and
not saying it's not. I'm just disappointed that he hasn't been able to do one-on-ones, but there's still 4 more weeks for them to do this when
and
we're not around.
really
And we're gonna see him with the Chargers in a week.
And the key with Javon Kinlaw is just understanding he is not DeForest Buckner, and a good season for Javon Kinlaw is not going to be 10 sacks. It might be 6, but
Right.
if you turn on the
Right.
film, number 99 is just being a menace for
True.
offensive lines.